so obviously, besides my own accident, which was obviously traumatic, the one thing that has impacted my life in a strange way happened when I was 22. So I've always been obsessed with Africa, right? And when I was 20, well, when I finished uni, I studied nursing, finished uni, and then we just went traveling like everybody does. And my aim was to get to Africa. And so when I was 22, I went on this, I guess, an overland expedition, right? And I just did the West African bit, but I wanted to go from West Africa to East Africa. And when I just went on my own, and when I got there, you know, obviously there were other Aussies on board, and there was this one guy who we just really clicked. We became like really, really good mates, and he was just awesome. He was 26. He was from Wagga, just the nicest guy ever. And so it was just weird, like, you know, so we're traveling through Senegal and Mauritania and Mali, and, you know, just having an awesome time. And it was quite frustrating because we got to Burkina Faso, and I had my day pack stolen. And like back then, like I just had like traveler's checks, because this is like in the 90s, you know, I had my camera stolen and my cash. And which was frustrating because I actually wanted to keep going. I wanted to pay for another leg of the trip and go all the way to East Africa, but having my my money stolen, I couldn't. So I got to Togo, and then I had to fly back to London. And I remember saying to Aunt, you know, I'll catch up with you, like, you know, I'll catch up with you, you know, once you finish your trip, and we'll meet up again. And I was like, yeah. And so I flew back to London, and I got another nursing job only for about a month to save some more money. And then I flew to Morocco, and then I went back to London. And this was in August, and I was in a hostel. And I don't know if you ever remember, back in the 90s, there was like a newspaper. It was called TNT. I guess it was kind of for backpackers.
Yeah.
And I looked down, and I saw this heading, and it said Osman killed by grenade attack. And so I picked it up, and I was just like, oh my God. And I read that my friend had been killed.
Yeah,
So
wow.
yeah. And I was so, I don't know. I was obviously just devastated. And you know, the weirdest thing, and it still affects me today, is like, you know, REM, the band, and that song Everybody Hurts, that was on the TV at the time. It was like a video clip. And so every time I hear that song, I'm like, you know, I just feel like you're gonna burst into tears. And so yeah, so I remember ringing my mom in tears saying Aunt's been killed, and my other friend got really badly injured. And I'm like, I want to come home. But I think for me, I don't know, I had so much guilt. Like I wanted to be there with him so badly. I wanted to have taken some of the brunt of the explosion, or at least been there when he died, because he essentially just bled to death, and he was apparently freaking out. Like, you know,
Oh,
I'm
okay.
not sure if he was in a car or an ambulance, like going to a hospital. And yeah, it was, yeah, I just felt so much guilt. And the worst thing was, all Aunt wanted to do was to see the mountain gorillas in Uganda. And they just arrived in Uganda, and that's when the accident happened. And he never got to see the mountain gorillas.
Yeah.
It really sucks. I just wish
Yeah,
so much, like, I wish he'd seen the mountain gorillas before that happened. Well,
absolutely.
obviously, I wish it never happened, but
Yeah, yeah.
it's kind of like that was his big dream, and he didn't get to kind of fulfill it.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so
And
yeah, it's weird, but that has affected me. It affected me.
were you
Like,
meant to be there? Or like if your backpack wasn't stolen, would have you?
oh, I would have been there for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I would have been next to him, because it happened like in the evening and after dinner, and he was just washing up, like
Yeah,
next to
right.
the truck.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was, I mean, it was a terrible time to be in Africa. It was when Rwanda was going crazy, and you know, obviously it was quite dangerous, but yeah, it was just like this freak thing.
Yeah.
Someone just chucked a hand grenade.